Today we're going to talk about why is it important to study public speaking. This video will delve into why public speaking and studying it will be so helpful for your business success as well as in your life. So let me just introduce myself. I've been public speaking for almost a quarter of a century now. It's crazy to think it's been that long, but studying public speaking has so inspired me. It's helped me so much in my life, and I'm grateful for this as a career that I've now made for so long. I'm happy that I get to help you, and I know that you'll find value in studying this great practice. So let's talk first about personal development. Increased confidence is a result of studying public speaking, and here's why. When you become a great communicator, you have a way of being able to tell people what you expect, what you think, and how to lead. A great example of this is Martin Luther King Jr. He started out in a small congregation, and then he became one of the greatest orators we've ever heard in the history of the world. Now, he studied public speaking. His dad was also a preacher. There's a reason he became so great. It's because he studied the masters, and then he became one of the greats of all time. One of the most important things you need to do is unlock your signature moves. You see, Martin Luther King had a certain style, didn't he? He made our souls stir when he spoke. Oh, what's your signature move? When you think about it for yourself, it's that which people know you for. And you have great talents and gifts that other people don't. So when you share your signature moves, that actually will help you to study and figure out the best way to public speak. As a new speaker, many years ago, I remember studying other speakers and watching them and thinking, oh wow, how did they get to be that good? And I remember getting on stage because I started my career more as a singer and a performer, and I thought I need to get on this stage and sing through my speech. Well, eventually I realized that this is not what the audience needed, nor what I wanted to deliver. The more I studied speakers, the more I realized that they shared authentically, vulnerably. They did funny things, but they also shared powerful content. And I remember thinking, I have to commit to not just sing my way through this speech. And so one time I shared a story, and I was so scared to do it, but I had to go for it. It then became one of my signature stories. And here's what it was. I talked about being a young father of beautiful new children. And I talked about how fast they were growing up and how much I wanted to be present in their lives. And I made a promise to myself to not just be a good dad, but be the kind of dad any kid would want to have. The next thing I knew, people were crying in the audience. It was a different reaction than I'd received as a singer. And when I came off stage, I got a standing ovation, and people came up to me and said, that story right there, that changed the way that I'm going to live from now on. The more that I realized I could share stories like that and create them, it was because I had studied other speakers who shared similar examples and stories in their lives. And so that helped me to shape my signature moves. What are your signature moves and signature stories? We've talked about personal development, and as I became a better speaker, it made me a better man. But then as a professional, there's professional development as well when we start to study more about public speaking. In leadership, speaking well and communication is one of the most profound and important ways that a leader can communicate. James Hume says that the art of communication is the language of leadership. There's a career progression that seems to happen with people who study and become better at public speaking. You see, you may start off in a place of kind of more the front lines of the business, and eventually as you study and become a better public speaker and communicator overall, you very well can move up the ladder quite quickly. It becomes a differentiator in the job market. People see that you're more confident, that you have signature moves, that you actually deliver on the promises that you say you're going to deliver. Warren Buffett attributes much of his success to learning how to become a more effective communicator and public speaker. One of my favorite examples of studying public speaking and becoming perhaps one of the greatest masters of it we've ever seen is my friend Vinh Giang. Vinh Giang lives in Australia, and he is one of the most fascinating people you'll ever follow. You need to go check him out on Instagram. Yeah, he's got millions of followers at this point. He didn't start out that way. Nope, he is an absolute student of public speaking. He started out as a magician, and then he decided to wipe that part of his career away while he focused on becoming a great communicator and speaker. Now he teaches speaking classes, and people fly to Australia to be taught by Vinh Giang. This is a masterful communicator. He's now making millions of dollars. He's obviously changed his entire life because he studied public speaking. Go check out Vinh Giang. Changing lives, the ripple effect of studying public speaking. speaking. Let's talk about influence. Words have such a great impact. And when we decide that we want to share certain words in a certain way, it changes the way that people see us. And so as you study upon the words that you want to share and insert into your vocabulary, it's going to change the way people see you. I like to highlight commitment to a certain level. So we might have goals and then we might have promises. I like to say, why set a goal when you can make a promise? It's not to say that goals aren't important. Of course they are. But if you've ever set a goal and missed it, you just set another one. Whereas if you make a promise and break it, that's a one and done. Do you see what I did with that language? Goals are awesome, but goals are particulars, where promises are proclamations. And so I have chosen to utilize words that a lot of people have a stigma with goals and they think, oh, I don't need to set goals anymore. And so I say, okay, maybe set some goals. That's fine. That has an end date. But a promise is something you become. And so what are your promises in your life? The ripple effect of that is that the word promise now has an effect upon change for everybody that hears that speech. They start to think to themselves, okay, maybe I set a goal and I missed it, but what is my promise that I'm never going to break no matter what? It changes the way that people think. And that's something I love very much to talk about. In the middle of World War II, Great Britain was going through an extreme crisis. Winston Churchill was not sure if he should concede to the Nazis who were trying to take over. Instead, he went down into the tunnels and he went into the places where the people were and he started to ask them questions. The next thing he knew, he had a speech prepared. He had studied the best way to deliver it and to inspire his people to change, to stand up for themselves. He called it Never Give In. He actually changed the way that the entire society and the entire country fought for themselves. They stood up to an army that unlike anyone had ever seen in the history of the world, and they survived because of the words and the emotion evoked by Winston Churchill, Never Give In. The same can be said with Martin Luther King Jr., his amazing speech, I Have a Dream. Imagine if he had just said, I have a goal. I mean, it almost sounds silly. He said, I have a dream, and he created an aspirational sense of what the world could be like if we were all one in peace and harmony. That changes so much throughout the history of the world. Another great example of a politician is Barack Obama, the president of the United States many years ago. His campaign speech was, yes, we can. It was all positive. It was aspirational. It was bringing people together and saying to themselves, yes, we can do it. President Obama is known for that great speech, and it helped get him elected. So why is it important to talk about these different speeches? Because if you look them up and you study public speaking, you'll realize that these great leaders were such effective communicators because of what they shared in those special speeches. Those were the kind of speeches that changed the history of the world. What speech are you creating now for yourself? I'd like to give you a couple of books to check out in order to study public speaking even better. First of all is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. This book changed my life. I remember reading it and thinking, oh man, I am putting off all of the different things I need to work on with my art. And yes, as a speaker, you are an artist. Go check out The War of Art. The other one I highly recommend is by my friend Grant Baldwin, The Successful Speaker. This will actually teach you so much about the speaking business, more so than creating a great speech. But it's important for you to know how to do that so that you can study becoming a better speaker. Let me also tell you about practice. Yes, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. You've heard that before, right? Practicing your speech is very important. It's one thing to study others, but if you don't practice at all, then it's maybe kind of wasted. So turn on the camera, turn it on yourself. I dare you to try it. It's going to change the way that you speak the next time you record yourself and watch it back. Also, I'd highly recommend you hire a mentor. Somebody you can bounce ideas off of, somebody who's already been there, done that, which you want to do. There are great mentors and coaches all around us. There are also some bad ones as well, but you can figure that out just by doing your research and looking for the best ones out there. Also, check out YouTube. I mean, here you are on this channel and I appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, that would be amazing, but here's what I want you to know. There are so many good speakers out there you can study. There are the history of speakers all over YouTube, so make sure you watch it. The other great resource I want you to make sure to check out is NSA, the National Speakers Association. Study those speakers that are a part of it because many of them are making a living and making a great difference. You know, you have signature moves that make you unique. As you study the signature moves of other artists and how that they, as speakers, keep the promise, you too are an artist as a speaker. The more you study it, the better you'll become. I'd love to give you a free gift. I hope you'll go check this out. It's how you're going to figure out out your signature moves, your message, and this will help you study upon yourself as to how you can deliver more of your promise to the world. So go check out icmprocess.com. You're going to identify, clarify, and magnify your great talents, and I'm so excited for you to have this great gift. Go check it out, icmprocess.com. Thanks for joining me today.